everyone, and welcome back to Five Questions With. Today we are with Dini von Mueffling, founder and CEO of Dini von Mueffling Communications, also known as DVMC. Dini runs one of the most recognized boutique PR agencies in the social impact space, and she just took home a titanium Cannes Lion. Dini, congratulations, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great. That titanium lion is a huge deal. Can you tell us a little about the work behind it and what that recognition means to you at this stage in your career?
Well, we are thrilled to have received the award. It's an award that at any stage in anybody's career, they would be ecstatic to get. I received the award for the work that we have done on behalf of Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who is the most prominent Epstein survivor, and her, by extension, also with her family, who took over her mantle and continued her work after her passing last April. And I think at this stage in my career, 17 years into having my own agency, it's an incredible recognition. But as always, everything is a team effort.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the questions to come. DVMC has built a real niche around this purposeful, high-stakes work. You've worked with Sandy Hook Promise, Undue Medical Debt, and people like Monica Lewinsky. How has running an agency focused on social impact changed over the years? And what do you think PR pros need to be prepared for practically, emotionally, if they want to take on this kind of work?
This is such a good question. We didn't start out as a social impact agency, and we actually do a lot more than just social impact, but I think our best known work is in the social impact space. And I think that the stakes can be very high when you're doing social impact because it can be emotional, it can be about changing legislation that improves people's lives. It can be about bringing attention to issues that affect everyone in a dramatic way, whether it's or an emotional way, whether it's sex trafficking in the case of Virginia and Epstein survivors. I think that everybody should try and do a little social impact work in their career. And one of the things that I often tell PR professionals not in the space is go and volunteer for a nonprofit and do a little bit of helping an organization that is doing meaningful work because they don't have the kind of expertise that you have. They probably can't afford it. They probably can't, they probably aren't very well versed in how to message better. And one thing that happens is that you become completely addicted to doing good. And I encourage everybody to volunteer for some kind of a social impact nonprofit. I think that when you find out what can be achieved from this kind of work, it kind of blows your mind. Like when we started working with Undue Medical Debt, which was initially called RIP Medical Debt, no one had heard of the organization. A decade later, they're on the map. They've eradicated $40 billion worth of people's medical debt.
Wow.
At Sandy Hook Promise, I mean, they have changed the way that we think about gun violence prevention and education. And that came about because I met Nicole Hockley, one of the co-founders of the organization, at a fundraiser, and I was so blown away by her. I went up to her and I said, "Who's doing your PR?" And she said, "You're looking at it." And I said, "Well, that's just not possible. How can you do everything and that too?" And so I volunteered on the spot. And you never know where it will take you if you do volunteer to do this kind of work.
Yeah, I think also too, PR people, a lot of them are, so pigeonholed. They're doing just media relations, or, they're doing, just like client relations or things like that. I feel like working with, nonprofits or purpose type organizations, it probably gives you a nice, look at things like public affairs and government affairs and getting involved with all of that. So I'm sure that's definitely kind of brought in your skill set for sure as well.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, this last year working with Virginia and her family and on the passage of the Epstein Files Transparency Act has been eye-opening for me. I haven't done that kind of work before.
Yeah, that's amazing. And speaking of that work, you represented Virginia Roberts Giuffre for 6 years, right up until her passing last year. Can you walk us through what that work actually looked like and how that relationship came to be and evolved over time?
Initially, when Virginia and I started working together, she was in the middle of a lot of legislation. In the middle of a lot of lawsuits. And she had to be very careful about what she could and could not say publicly. And so we were walking a very fine line when she would do media to make sure that she didn't jeopardize any of the various cases that she was involved in. And as the victories piled up, for example, her settlement with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, we were able to do more because she was validated by those victories, as well as recognized globally for the hero that she was. A lot of forces were working against her, trying to discredit her. And so as she was able to discuss what she was focused on and holding people accountable more, we were able to do more together, namely her memoir, which I helped put together for her, and I introduced her to her agent and worked on it with her. But there were a lot of ups and downs. She really struggled with the negative press that people, that bad actors would incite, and that she felt challenged her credibility, even though we knew she was a totally credible person. And that was, I think, one of our biggest challenges, was maintaining her as a voice of authority and credibility. And then at the end of her life, trying to navigate her passing, which was so sudden. And the way that I did that was to ensure her legacy was to work with one reporter at the very end of her life and say, okay, this is the definitive story of Virginia Roberts Giuffre. And then we pointed all other media to that particular story so that we ensured accuracy around the news of her passing.
Is that a tactic that you like to use? Does that seem beneficial with a lot of your clients, or that was just, in her case, working with the one journalist, one news story?
I mean, in that case, it was appropriate. We were, first of all, so inundated. And second of all, this reporter had followed her story for a long time and knew her. But I would say that it really depends on the client.
Mm-hmm. Okay. She's definitely a brave young woman that, went through all of that and has opened the door for a lot of other women to come forward, even, in her legacy, in her passing. Not a lot of, PR people go through this. Losing a client who was also someone you had gone through something that significant with, that's not something most PR professionals talk about openly. So we appreciate that. You also have a team, not just yourself, that, worked with them and the family. How did you guys respond to that? And how do you think about, that kind of loss in this work?
Well, we lost Virginia, and we say all the time that she should be here. She should be here to see what we've achieved since she passed away, since her book was published. But we also gained Skye and Amanda Roberts as extraordinary advocates who really have stepped up. And her memoir, Skye and Amanda, have galvanized so many other survivors to come forward, that her passing created an unstoppable movement, and we take a lot of comfort in that.
Mm-hmm. No, that's wonderful. I was going to ask if you're still close with the family.
Every day I talk to them.
That's great. I hope they're doing okay. It seems like the work probably helps a little bit, for sure. That's wonderful. Last question. We're gonna make it a lighter one. You've worked with some amazing clients, but if you could take on any cause or brand or public figure you haven't worked with yet, your dream scenario, who would it be and why?
I love this question, and I've thought about it a lot. I would love to work with the Kardashians.
Oh,
And that might surprise you, but the reason why is because they wield so much power and influence, and I would love to see them wield some of that for good. I think they have done an incredible job of being successes as business women, but I think they have the power to change the world through their massive reach, and I'd love to see them do that. And if they want help with it, I'd be thrilled.
yeah, no, that's true. I mean, you've heard about, Kim doing, the things with, prisoners and women in prison. But other than that, it seems like they could use a little work in the nonprofit world. So,
Yeah, I mean, they have, so many people emulate them, and so much of what they're emulating is about physical appearance, and I think there's a lot more to focus on.
yeah, no, everybody has a personal story and everybody has things they care about. So I feel like, I mean, they're a media behemoth. So that would definitely be a challenge. So, hey, I hope they hear you. And, I hope we can talk about this next year, maybe. For sure.
Well, once Kim Kardashian actually reposted one of our Sandy Hook Promise campaigns, which was a huge win for us. And we worked really hard to make sure she saw it, and we were thrilled that she did. So
Awesome.
I know it's in there for them.
Yeah, they're parents too. So I mean, that's that's a big thing. Well, thank you so much for joining us. 5 questions always goes by really fast. You really gave us a lot to think about, and we hope that the work that you're doing, continues to change lives and improve people's perspectives. So thank you so much, Dini.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.